Welcome back. And those who are just tuning in, we just finished our matchup, the third game of our tournament, Necrons versus Death Guard, with a final score, Necrons 98 to a Death Guard 75. So a couple things that we can talk about with this. Let's start over on the Death Guard side of things. Carnivores today.
They were all right. They whiffed a little bit.
Going into this, you were talking about them being in a tandem with the floated blow drones.
Yeah, I mean, they move much faster than the blow drones. The blow drones only move 10, I think, and they move 14. It was hard for the blow drones to keep up with them. And one of the strong points is the OC8, which doesn't matter when you just keep failing battle shocks over and over again, because there's some character on the board that makes me take battle shocks.
No one uses them.
Yeah, they're still, I think they're still good. They're 140 points, so I don't think they're a big deal in this game. But I think the army, the Death Guard list definitely suffers from a lack of shooting because your Doomstalkers are just able to shoot uncontested all game
long.
Yeah.
All game long. And like we had said beforehand, it was going to we felt like the Doomstalkers, and this wasn't a matter of like down talk and stuff like that. This is things that you notice when you go into a matchup into certain armies, that there's some units that you may just not be able to do anything about.
Mm-hmm.
And the Doomstalkers are one of them because of the fact of that range. And not only that, their guns profile is perfect for picking up a lot of the stuff in your army, whether it was the Death Shroud Terminators or the Plague Marines.
DJ, they're perfect for picking up everything.
Not everything.
14, strength 14, AP 3, flat 3 damage. D6 plus one shots blast. They're pretty good into pretty much everything.
Yeah, I mean, big things. They struggle a little bit.
They're strength 14.
Still, it's only 3 damage.
Stop trying to convince me the army's not that good.
I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying that. Hey, I'm not saying that.
Oh,
I'm just saying
they're 130 points, and they're not good into every single thing you could shoot them at. Sorry.
35. But no, that's the one. That is their one thing is going into those. But that was actually part of the segue. If I wasn't going to be so rudely interrupted on that, Scarabs.
It was a valid interruption. But yeah, Scarabs were pretty good today as well. Just their ability to explode at the beginning of every fight phase. It's not like when they complete a charge. For some reason, they a lot of units, in a lot of armies have impact mortals. They don't have impact mortals. It's every fight phase, so it's your turn and my turn.
Yep. So I take a 6 mana charge, blow one up, go down to 5. Throw the shots with the lethal was doing damage. It wasn't a ton of damage, but it was nice to have a little bit of extra chip damage because 6 attacks apiece, lethal in the rerolls. And then like you said, I blow up the Scarab. Now back to mine, I put them both back with the Spider. So it's just reload the chamber and send them back in there. And they were, I mean, those vehicles over there, the Wraiths were not really doing any damage. The Spiders were struggling with the higher toughness.
The Wraiths just flew over the vehicles and did mortal. Stop telling me the Wraiths don't do damage.
In combat, they didn't do damage.
No, they do mortals in the movement.
There are people who are going to watch and they're going to go and say, I'm going to charge an Imperial Knight with Wraiths. And then when it starts smacking you with the claws and going, why is this doing no damage? There's a reason why. Yes, flyover actually happened twice this game, which was 3 times this game. 3 times, actually. And that was nice. But the Wraiths and the Spiders were struggling with your higher toughness because you were T9 and T10. So they were struggling to actually do the damage to them. And it was nice with the Scarabs because the Scarabs were guaranteeing that little bit that I needed to finish those off, and then reloading and just kept them going. Because the Wraiths do really well into infantry. They do well into things that they can go at toughness with. But once you start going above that toughness, they only have that AP1, so they do struggle a little bit there. Their biggest strength is the fact they're OC2 on an objective marker. That's where that's where they shined. Is just they're hard to move and hard to kill.
Yeah, 4 wounds, toughness 6.
5 up,
3 up, 4 up invuln, and then a 5 up feel no pain. And then you have the ability to move them away too. It only came into play once this game. You do have a counter move, and you can make them untargetable. But when they're usually in the middle of the board holding objectives, that untargetable strat is really useful.
No,
it didn't come up at all in this game.
No, the untargetable I think is going to be something I use more with the Scarabs to make sure that they're staying in that pivotal position, not getting shot away.
Yeah, I didn't have much shooting that was beyond 12 inches anyway. So
no, but actually,
there were a lot of flamers and things.
There was, speaking of the flamers, just got to talk about this because it was funny. So when you shot me with your flamers are what strength? They're strength 3.
Oh, I shot the Scarabs? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the Plague Spur gauntlets on the Death Shroud are strength 3
So, and I'm toughness 2.
on the
So it
Scarabs.
should be you wounding me on 3s. But because you were in range and in combat with me, I'm -1 toughness. So I don't know if there's anything else in the
Toughness
game.
1 Scarabs.
The Scarabs were toughness 1 this game. So that's great. But yeah, no, I mean, like, realistically, I know that you are just heavily salty about Necrons. You hate the dirty Xenos so bad.
This game, everything that you want Necrons to do, they did perfectly. Like, you take these 2-man units of spiders, I would kill one, but not do any damage to the second one. So no matter what you roll and you reanimate, you bring a spider back. How many points are they?
75.
Yeah, bring back 75-point model. Probably happened 3 times this game. So you at least 2 times.
No, 2 times. 2 times. It happened once on the left flank and once at center.
Yeah, so 150 points worth of spiders coming back.
Mm-hmm.
The spiders and the scarabs, you played them very well. Where the scarabs were doing damage and blowing up, you had a spider unit there, so they were bringing back scarabs as well. So that worked well.
That's something I've been working at for a while because, like, since the beginning, it's just like we played these, and I've just like every time I ran them, you would even say afterwards, you go, I just don't feel like they're doing anything. I just don't feel like they're just not a part of the game at all. And it's because I was playing them on the front, now playing them on the back foot and bringing them in. There's work they can do there. And plus, I respect your Death Guard so much. I've made mistakes before with certain units in your Death Guard, Arby.
Yeah, but then, like, the Psychomancer, his ability was relevant almost every time he used it. It caused me to fail battle shock tests. So the things that you wanted to worked very well in this game. And like I said, you played it very well too. Keeping the scarabs and the spiders close, so that their abilities worked off of each other. And yeah, it's very frustrating to play against.
I'd have to see again, though, when I don't have the ability to go into fixed, because that fixed did help a lot. I may not have been able to push out as far to do things like engage on all fronts and things like that. So I did have the centipedes, excuse me, that I could have done some stuff with on them. But, I wouldn't know unless we replayed it out that way. Right. I just know that there's always a difference when you play an army and you're able to do fixed secondaries and it goes well. And then you're like, oh, wow, this is great. And then you play against another army, you can't do fixed secondaries. The game plan's completely different. So I definitely would have to see that in full regard with
it. Definitely, yeah.
But yeah, the one thing that definitely, the weapons, just since come off Necrons, talking on Death Guard, that weapon skill, ballistic skill thing is brutal. That is reduction, the contagion of reducing the stat, not giving -1. Reducing the stat. That's really, really rough.
Yeah, it comes into play a couple places. So, yeah, obviously reducing your ballistic skill, changing your ballistic skill statistic, making it 1 worse, and then stacking that with either smoke on a vehicle or cloud of flies and anything that's Death Guard. Sometimes you're hitting on 5s or 6s. Even with rerolls, it's kind of tough to do. And same thing as if a vehicle's engaged, it's going to be -1 to hit. But if it's the contagion on top of that, it's going to be worse ballistic skill and then also -1 to hit. So it definitely makes a huge difference. Like I said, your army has a whole lot of invulns. Other than maybe the spiders don't really have invulns, do they? Or do the
No, they don't. No, they just have they're 3 save.
The reduction in armor probably wouldn't have been a big deal here because of all the invulns, especially on the wraiths.
Well, especially again because my frontline unit is the wraiths with the 4-up invulns. Like the spiders, yes, you could reduce their armor, but as this game and as you've played against me in the past, and you know this personally, my spiders you're not seeing them until turns 3 or later, where you're going to start seeing them do stuff and get out there.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, you are right. There was a lot of stuff that worked really well. I've been thinking about this for a while, like how to basically reinvent the wheel of Canoptic and run the Scarabs, the one codex aside from the Reanimator Canoptic unit that I haven't been running. And I was disappointed. I was like, I don't understand if there's nothing, like, are they just terrible? Can I not run them at all? And I've seen some of the stuff and I'm like, man, there's pieces and parts. And then it was the game we played when you played Votan. And I had one unit that made it to the outside and it started picking on your Sagittars and just blowing up and doing damage, blowing up and doing damage, and something else would shoot and kill it. And after that game, we were talking about like, that might be the way that these scarabs are supposed to play. And so I started thinking about it more and more and more with this, and this is what I came up with. And yeah, that's if you can get that engine running, dude, it like, especially in a vehicle heavy metal like that, dude, those things just tear through things so fast. The mortal wounds and then just lethal hits, just random damage. They were tearing through. I can't believe that I'm saying that these scarabs did unbelievable amount of damage, especially on that left flank. Like that was
how many points
the left
for
flank.
6 of them?
80. 40 for a 3.
Yeah, that's pretty good value.
4 wounds apiece, 6 attacks.
Yeah, they definitely destroyed more than 80 points worth of models in terms of the damage they did.
The only thing with them is the fact that they have, and again, I have to tread on this lightly, because anytime I say anything about Necrons having any sort of weakness, Lane just wants to like throw something at me.
What do you mean throw something at you? You keep complaining about the best army in the game. Well, maybe things have changed a little since the points update, but still, you're like, oh my gosh, it's so difficult for me to play with the best army in the game.
I'm not saying it's difficult. I'm just saying that I wish they didn't nerf Necron warriors into the ground when they're a basic. I feel
so bad for you.
Necron warriors are Lane. Necron warriors are one of the backbone units, fluff wise and every which way. And the fact that they literally just. They should still reanimate D6. The fact that they just nerf them into the ground completely just sucks for the fact that they are an iconic piece of Necrons that are just useless. There's other things that you can nerf into the ground and go, okay, they're not as iconic, but the Necron warriors, the basic skeleton, is useless. And with that, what I was going to say about the scarabs is that they are very, very, very squishy. You can with just the basic small arms fire of anything, clear them away, as you saw with the flamers. They do clear out very, very easily, so you have to, with those, you have to protect them. You have to keep them back. They have to be hiding in buildings, hiding behind walls, and just hit when you want them to hit, because you look at them funny, they fall apart.
So 6 of them are 80 points?
Correct.
Yeah. They're not squishy for their point value. For 80 points, you get 24 wounds. To shoot. Understanding that you can pick them off and do damage to them with bolters and things, but 24 wounds for 80 points still takes a lot to chew through.
It does. I feel more so in shooting than combat. Like if you can get into combat with some, like, again, like you said, like the Marines, if you're in combat with just like with Marines and they're punching you, you can probably survive through some of that a little bit more and keep some of those scarabs alive. Going into the next turn, it's that shooting aspect. They just really there's a lot of units that are able to get extra shots, have extra shots, and do that little stuff that it's like, oh, well, I have nothing else to shoot at, and just spray the scarabs off the field. So I think that's, if you can keep them in combat, you can usually whittle that down and use that 4 wound aspect to keep them around, and then the spiders start popping them up. But it's when you get shot, then they scatter real quick. The shooting in the game is still enough for small arms fire to take them out.
Yeah. And a lot of times it makes more sense to try to kill them than the wraiths if you have small piddly shots, because the wraiths take a whole lot of work to kill.
And again, you need to get those out of the way, because the way that I have that combo is now you have the wraiths, which are 2 OC apiece. And then if you bring something 2 OC in, scarabs hit you, reduce your OC by 1. There's a techno nearby, so they get +1 OC. So now I still control the objective and then just chew through everything there. So if you take out the scarabs, now you don't lose your OC. And so there is some value behind that with this. So, well, I think that's about everything. Is there any closing thoughts that you have?
No, that's enough for Necrons for a while.
Not too long. Next week, it's going to be
Death Watch versus Orcs.
Death Watch versus Orcs. So you get to smack around my cans and Morkanauts, because I'm definitely bringing I'm bringing the Dread Mob. That is, it's all robots with me.
Right.
Grey Knights.
Big stompies.
Grey Knights, I run robots. Admech, I'm running robots. Necrons, the whole army's robots. And here we go into Orcs, the Horde army. And what do? Robots. All right, guys. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.